What's up, comic book fans? And welcome to Comics Icons. Now, JJ, what they call me. And today, we got more Fall of the House of X with X-Men issue number 31. And this issue is straight fire. And it has an absolutely super dope fight with Nimrod. But if you guys need to get caught up with where these guys left off, I put a card up at the top of the screen. And then there'll be a link to the playlist at the end of the video. But just as a quick refresher, the last time we saw these guys, they had come up with the idea to travel to counter Earth to retrieve a bioweapon from the High Evolutionary that would sterilize all of humanity and counter the effects of Orcus's laced drugs. So Synch and Talon, they decided to travel there, and as they sneak into the High Evolutionary ship to retrieve this bioweapon, they're confronted by the High Evolutionary, who tells them that the only way they could keep the weapon is if they could survive him. But unfortunately, Talon did not survive that battle. However, the High Evolutionary did allow Synch to take the weapon, and as a last-ditch effort to keep Talon alive, Synch used the powers of Jean Grey to pull Talon's mind inside of his. But if you're unaware of how Synch's powers works, the farther away the person is whose powers Synch's using, the quicker he ages. So if you guys are wondering if these two lovers can find a way back to each other, and if our mutant heroes are able to successfully administer this bioweapon cure to humanity before they can stage their attack on Orcus, let's get it. So we begin this issue with Synch, who's talking with Talon with his mind in his sleep, but his body is starting to feel the effects. And Nightcrawler and Shadowcat have come to check on him, but they also need him ready for the upcoming battle. And Nightcrawler has reached out to Emma Frost for help, but she's busy helping to coordinate the invasion of Orcus. Then Shadowcat acknowledges that Synch hid that he was aging rapidly while syncing from muscle memory with mutants who were not in his presence. And Talon didn't return from Counter-Earth, but that he popped bone claws and trashed his bunk, then didn't have Talon's healing factor to sew him up. But he's fighting an infection, and his blood pressure is through the roof. But Spider-Man, he calls in with some good news. He and Ms. Marvel are on the roof of Oscorp, and the bioweapon that they got from the High Evolutionary, it's working. They're discreetly delivering countermeasures for the Orcus-laced drugs. They keep it at a relatively low altitude so it's not mistaken for a satellite, and it's finishing up on the West Coast before it gets deployed across the border and into Canada. And as Ms. Marvel and Spider-Man start to acknowledge the good they're doing with this High Evolutionary weapon, Spider-Man breaks rule number 1, or 2, or whichever rule it is of not speaking too soon. And when he says that this is fun and easy, Nimrod appears on their screen, saying to them, "I bet you thought Orcus wouldn't notice you until it was too late, but you'd have been wrong. And now these guys are screwed." Meanwhile, we go back to Synch, and he's still trying to hold on to Talon, but not being able to use her healing factor is making his body break down faster. And now Shadowcat is in his ear asking him for his help. She tells him that Nimrod has found Ms. Marvel, although she doesn't quite mention Spider-Man, who's also helping and in danger, but I guess since he's not a mutant, she doesn't care too much. Then she tells him that the machine still needs to finish the rest of North America. Then as she begins to phase through the wall, she tells him that if he can hear her, don't let Talon's sacrifice be in vain. I know you're holding on to her, but there's going to be a lot more dead X-Men unless we both get in the fight. And Synch, he can hear her, but he tells her that she's wrong. Talon's not gone yet. He can still hold on, but we can obviously see that he can't. So now Spider-Man, he has the idea to web up the machine so Nimrod can't bust it up. Although I don't know if that's gonna do anything except make a bigger mess. But then Nimrod, he teleports in and he punches these guys off the roof. And then as he goes to smash the machine, Nightcrawler bamfs in and he teleports Nimrod back down to the street. And now the fight is on. And And Nimrod, he goes to attack Nightcrawler, but Nightcrawler teleports away, only to have Shadowcat emerge from the tunnels underground and stab Nimrod's feet. And then Spider-Man, he comes in with a truck and smashes it into Nimrod. But none of this is working. And Nimrod, he straight up pulls Spidey through the window of the truck. And he holds his body in the air as if he's gonna rip him apart. But then Nightcrawler bamfs in again and he rescues Spidey. But they don't get too far as Nimrod spots them and he tries to pull them in. When Shadowcat, she phases right through Nimrod, attempting to disrupt his technology. But again, it doesn't work. Although Shadowcat, she knew it wasn't. She was just trying to change his focus. When Wolverine dives in, claws out, and he sticks them right into Nimrod's head. But again, to no avail, as Nimrod just flips Wolverine right off of him. And as Wolverine still keeps trying to slice, Nimrod straight up stomps him. Then we transition over to the Manhattan Hellfire Club across the city, and we pick up with Wilson Fisk, who's been an ally to the mutants since his wife is one. But he hasn't seen her since the mutant massacre at the Hellfire Gala. And when one of his men tells him that they picked her up in the old Fisk Tower, he's happy as all hell to see her crazy ass, who comes in doing cartwheels. But he doesn't care. He's Mr. and the first thing he does is lay a big one on her. Then we go back to Sync, and we see the battle in his mind as Talon is trying to convince him to let her go. She tells him, imagine how you'll feel if one of them dies up there. And he's like, damn it, you will die if I do. But then she reminds him that Scott and Jean trusted us with the leadership of the X-Men. Today, you and I pay for it. But if we succeed, the Orchis has no more hostages. That's the job, to save as many people as we can every day. Then he tells her that he loves her, and she tells him the same. Then she tells him, now go. That's an order. And then we're told that after he set her mind adrift, the longest romance in X-Men history is finally ended. And then he wakes up, pushing away the sorrow and allowing his heart to be filled with rage. As we see that his friends, they absolutely need it, and Nimrod is crushing all of them with ease. And as Nimrod pounds these guys, he tells them, you could have left and traveled the stars. We might have followed, but maybe you'd have gotten away. I'll never truly understand you. Then we see Sync show up like a boss as he phases up through the ground just like Shadowcat, saying that we didn't leave because we belong, because we say so. And he flies up in the air using the power of Storm, and he starts to collect the lightning in his hand, as we're told that for a moment Sync's become a god. And then he drives that lightning into Nimrod, surging through his body. But this only manages to slow Nimrod. He's not finished yet. As he gets back up, body still smoking from the blast, and he challenges them for more. But this fight was strategic. They were only trying to delay him and give the machine time to finish administering the cure to the Orchis drugs. And that mission is a success, as Spider-Man tells them that the machine has finished its work. And now the day has been won. Then Sync, he manages to teleport the entire team, but before they leave, he tells Nimrod, the next time you see me, you die. And then they're all teleported away to the Rockies. And then Sync, he lets the team know that Rogue is heading their way in the jet. It's time to go free Cyclops. And as Nightcrawler thanks Sync for saving them, he asks about Talon, to which Sync acknowledges that she's gone. He had to let her go. But he can't mourn right now. He can't even think about her. Not yet. Then he tells Shadowcat to get the word to Polaris that the hostages are free. She's got the green light. And that, my friends, is the end of the issue. Yo, man, this issue was so dope. And Sync, Although you know he's hurting, he truly became the leader of the X-Men with this one. He straight up bossed up, and I loved it. Man, this thing is heating up, and I can't wait to see the final battle with Orchis. I also can't wait to see what Polaris has planned. If you remember back in the first issue of the Fall of the House of X, Polaris had traveled to nowhere and recruited the Brood for this war. So it's about to go down, ladies and gentlemen. Sheesh. This issue was so dope to me, and I hope you guys liked it too. So I'll be interested to hear you guys' thoughts in the comments. But ladies and gentlemen, if you guys enjoyed this video and this channel, then you guys can be a tremendous help to the future of the channel by donating to it with a super thanks. And if you're not able to do that, then you can still help the channel by dropping a like, share, and subscribing to Comics Icons for more icons in the comic book world. But ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. I'm out.